Still not subscribed to the Partition? You know, it's a lot of ways that you can do this besides watching all the content. But before we start, always remember, go to the channels link. Every show that we have, you can always see every show before everybody else see the show. But besides that, always remember, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, put it on all. Until then, always remember, anything is possible. Thank you for choosing the Partition. Now let's get into the show. Anything is possible. Peace.
I'm a Billboard music producer.
Billboard. There ain't no PCP money.
Hello, baby.
Yeah. Hold on, wait. I want to laugh. Welcome back to Choppin It Up with Lil Ron. While we are working into this new season, this will be my very first gospel person that I brung on the show. I normally bring different artists on the show, different people. This guy is not only a pastor, he's actually a musician. He does it all. I want you guys to welcome the one and only Mr. Kenneth Babino.
That's it.
Man, every time I think of Babino, I think about this guy on this TV show. So first off, how are you doing today?
Wonderful, and thank you for having us. How y'all doing today?
Oh, man, we doing wonderful. But what I do is everybody that come on my show, I like to introduce them to my fans. And my fans that may not know you and yours that do know you, can you kind of introduce yourself to my fans and let them know who you are, and we can go from there?
Yes, my name's Minister Kenneth Babino from Beaumont, Texas. My wife and I are Minister Kenneth Babino.
Okay.
We are the artist, and we're from Beaumont, born and raised in Beaumont.
I have a friend that's in Beaumont.
Yeah.
Rodney Carrington. I think his dad is out there in Beaumont, Texas.
I may know that name. It sounds familiar. I'll think about it some more and it'll come to me.
Okay.
But yeah, we're here. Glad to be able to come in, do this interview with you. Glad to be able for the opportunity God has blessed us with.
Yes, sir.
To go forth to the ministry, to spread the gospel musically, and to just be living life as God would allow us to.
That's correct. That's right. That's the way it's supposed to be. One question I do want to ask you: what got you into wanting to be a gospel artist? Out of all the things that you could do, what made you say, hey, I want to be a gospel artist?
I never set out to be a gospel artist. I've been a musician for all of my life. I picked up my first instrument at 3 years old, a guitar. My mom and dad noticed that the playing ability was a lot better than what should have been. So every time I asked them for a different instrument, they bought me an instrument. And then in elementary school, I started my first band, and I've been in bands ever since then, and playing on the streets, I used to call it, playing in the streets, playing the clubs, this and that. I met engineers, I met writers, I met performers. I've toured with national groups, and I've always wanted to perform my own music. So when we started writing, when God blessed us to be able to write, it was going to be R&B. We had an R&B album. And I prayed and asked God, first, let me release a song singing of my love to you, because I want the world to know that I'm a Christian first.
And some
because
people,
I was brought up in the church.
That's right. And some people, they forget about that. They think about that it's all about pleasing the world instead of pleasing the man up above. Because without him and the talent and the stuff that he gives you to do the things that you do, none of this stuff wouldn't even exist. And some people, they don't understand that. And they don't like to be in the position that way. They want to live for the world. I always say some people just live for the world.
And God had already blessed me with a good career. He'd already blessed me with the ability to travel the world playing street music. So I really wanted to let the world know, if you're going to hear Kenneth, you first need to know Kenneth loves God. So
Right.
I asked God, give me a song to sing of my love for you, and then I'll go on with this R&B project. And God blessed us with a song, and then he blessed us with another, and he blessed us with another. So we released a little short 3-song gospel promotion thing.
It took off.
It took off, but the R&B stuff never happened. We've been writing gospel ever since then.
That's the way it be. Sometimes you set out to do one thing, but God has plans for you to do something totally different. And sometimes your life can shift and go a whole different way. You know, Chris Brown. Chris Brown wanted to be a rapper, but he ended up being a singer. So that's just how it works sometimes. Like, believe it or not, I originally started I was a computer engineer. I used to do a lot of computer stuff. I went from doing that to be doing music, from doing music to this is what I do now. I interview people, I have multiple shows. That's what God seen fit. That's what he wanted me to do.
Yeah.
To be able to talk to people and get that word out where they'll be able to be heard. So that's what I decided to do. I said, hey, if this is what the man called me to do, that's what I'm going to do then.
Right. And it wasn't in pursuit of money. It wasn't in pursuit of audience, excuse me, or any of that. When I noticed that God was fulfilling the desire to produce and write and record and create, and I noticed that it's all gospel. It's all gospel. I was thrilled about it.
Yeah, I bet you were.
So I was still playing in the bands, playing the street music. So then when I got to the place where the studio got to be overwhelming, because we do everything in our own studio. We do all of the instruments. We do all of the writing, the arranging, the recording, the engineering, the singing.
The mastering, everything.
The mastering, everything.
Do you ever get to a certain point where when you're doing what you're doing, that you may have people within your camp, or do you ever feel like that I got the gospel going, but I just want to go back and doing regular music like everybody else? Do you ever feel that way sometime, or do you ever have a
Being on the stage playing street music all of my life, I miss the performing side of that. Because, again, I've been in bands for all of my life. I've been performing all of my life. I miss the performance side, because being in the studio and doing all of that ourselves takes up so much time that I eventually had to leave the bands.
Wow.
And say, hey, I can't do this no more. God's put me on another assignment, and I have to fulfill that assignment. And we were so excited because he was giving us all of this music to write and record, and we had the facility. We have the facility to do it ourselves. He's fulfilled that dream. I've always wanted my own studio. God blessed us with the studio. Man. So it's like, hey, guys, y'all go on. I'm staying doing this.
Wow.
So I don't miss it at all. I love the performance, but God has blessed me to be able to minister performing our own music.
Now, do you ever turn back around, get to the point where people ask you, do you preach the word? Because even though you turn back around, you into music, do you ever have people that ask you, hey, why don't you just go and preach and don't do music no more? No,
because I have preaching assignments, but because my hometown recognizes me as a musician. You know how you grow up in this area? Yes. Everybody knows you for what you did as a kid. You grew into a man, a woman, you started family, and then you started career, but they know you from that assignment that you started early with. Everybody still recognizes me as the musician. So I get the preaching assignments, but everybody always asks, are you still playing music?
I had that same problem. People always, do you still build computers? Do you fix them? I'm like, man, I really don't do that, but if you want me to do it, I'll do it for you. But they just see me as that computer man. That's just what they see me as. No matter how hard I try, and I try to look, no, man, I do on my talk show, man. No, you a computer man.
They stick to that, which they know. And it's okay, because I still get the musician relationships. I still get invited to go back to some of the bands. I still get invited to step up and do a show here and there, or to do a spot-on performance when I go see bands that I used to play with, or go out for dinner. If there's a band, somebody will say, hey, Ken, come up and do a song. And I'll say, no, thank you. Do you ever have a moment where you be out and you see somebody playing something and you may feel like that's not the right note? They don't know how to play that note. If I got up there, I could turn back around and do the note for them. I'll show them how to do it
You ever get to a situation like that where you have that problem?
Yeah, it's not a problem per se where I say I could have done that better, but I'm always critiquing because I believe that there's a musician. I came up playing like this. There's always a musician in the audience, and he will recognize when you make a mistake. So the thing is, never make a mistake. And that was my mantra, never, ever make a mistake. You sing the song, play the song the way it was originally recorded, because that's what people know.
That's right.
So when I hear something that's not original in the recording, I critique it. My wife is punching me all the time because I'll say, he missed the bridge.
And I'm like that when I'm doing, a lot of people that have different shows and stuff, if I watch their stuff, I pay attention to audio.
Yeah.
I look at audio because you can have the worst video in the world. If you got the right audio, trust me. And I tell my team all the time, they be like, "Why you?" I said, "Man, he didn't do something right, man. You hear that? You hear that sound? That don't sound right, man. That person sound too low. He sound too far away, man. He don't have the right stuff." I'm like that too. It's like I'm looking to make sure everything is all on every key point like it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
I always do that. I guess that's just a talent that we have. Some people have an ear for things,
right? And
you got an ear for music. How many different instruments have you ever played before?
Wow. Let's see. I started on guitar.
I played the guitar before.
Then went to the bass. Okay. Then went to drums. Then I asked my parents for a saxophone. Then I wanted a violin. Then I asked them for a flute. Then I asked them for some percussion instruments. Then I asked them for a trumpet. And then I got a clarinet. And then I got, a whole bunch of instruments. Keyboards. They started buying me keyboards. Then I got a synthesizer. And then I got an organ. So I have a trailer. I'm 16, 17. I've got a trailer in my backyard full of equipment and stage equipment and sound equipment.
What Chicago used to be that way too. Prince.
Somebody
Prince
told me that.
Prince can actually, he was probably one of the mainstream artists right now that live that can play every instrument. Yeah. He played every one of them. You name him, he can play it with no problem.
Yeah. And I never had a lesson. God blessed me to be able to play.
Ear?
I play by ear.
I have a nephew that's like that. He can't really read music, but he's an awesome zydeco artist.
Yeah.
And when he was in elementary, he had his own zydeco band. I bought him his first accordion. And Keon, I don't know how, but if he can hear something, he can go back and play it. Mm-hmm. And he can play it so good, he don't have to even look at the keys to the accordion. He got it. He on point with it. And people don't understand, like, why do this young dude just come up and just do this?
Yeah, that is a tremendous blessing, an awesome blessing. I used to wish that I had lessons, but I realized God was my teacher, and there's no better instructor than God.
Do you ever have people try to compare you to, like, Hezekiah Walker or Kirk Franklin and be like, hey, do you make music like them, or are you trying to copy off Kirk Franklin? Do you ever like have that problem? Because some people will do that
all the time. Because I came up playing in bands and playing R&B, I was always compared to Frankie Beverly, to Jeffrey Osborne, to Lionel Richie. That's my voice range. Fred Hammond, Babyface, those artists, because those were my favorite artists, and those are the ones that I would perform the most. The Isley Brothers, the Barkays, the people that I listened to as a child.
I listened to the Barkays the other day.
Yeah.
I listened to Girl.
Even Sam Cooke, Marvin Gaye, those artists.
I was telling somebody the other day about Sam Cooke and the story with what's his name? Because he got the song Bobby Womack.
Yes, him too.
I wish he wouldn't trust me too much.
Yeah.
And I was telling somebody the story, and they would say, "What?" I said, "Yep, that's the story behind that song, man. He's talking about that guy's wife, man, in that song."
That's right. Yes. So because they would see me perform these songs in the bands, I would always be compared to these people because those were the songs that brought out my most original voice sound. It was closer to them. Gotcha. So it wasn't like they were comparing me to those people. They would always say, these are the songs this guy can really sing.
And it's good that when somebody can compare you to a legend or somebody that actually did something before you, that's actually a good thing. Some people think that's bad. It's actually a good thing because they let somebody know, like, hey, look, this man can perform these songs just as well as Babyface can actually sing it. And he don't need no background singers.
Yes.
He can just do it himself with his regular voice.
Yeah, and it was always a compliment to me because my dad was my first manager, and he would always tell me, play and sing the song the way the artist played and sang it. Because, again, the way I got that from, he said, because that's what the audience recognize. You don't have a version. Right. They don't know your version.
That's right.
So if you're not playing it right, you're playing it wrong. So right. I would stick to the original arrangement. I would stick to every little inflection that they did on vocals, every little inflection that they did on the instruments. I never changed anything until we got to the end of the song, and then I would just embellish on a little, this and that, but not a whole lot. So people recognize that, hey, that's Ken. This guy's he's good because he does it exactly the way it goes. And a lot of people don't do that. And that's right. Where my critiquing comes in the most.
Because you have your own spin to it.
Right. I mean, if they want to hear your version, go and record it and put it on the radio.
There you go.
But I didn't pay to come hear you sing Bobby Womack in a Keith Sweat style.
That's right.
That ain't the way that goes.
Ain't supposed to go that way. Well,
so
we're to the part where we call Leon's Top 5. What Leon Top 5 is, Leon was a cousin of mine that got killed by 18-wheeler last year. So I dedicate this part of the show to him. What is your Leon's top 5? It could be 5 artists. It can be R&B, it can be gospel, it can be rap. It don't matter, jazz, whatever you want. Who's the top 5 that you like?
First of all, sorry to hear of your loss.
Okay, thank you so much.
God bless your family.
Yes, sir.
In the recovery. The 5 artists that I would lean on, because these are the ones that groomed me, the Isley Brothers, Sam Cooke. And then later on, I got into Babyface. And then Prince, because of he can do everything. And then the Stevie Wonder.
Yes.
And now later on, when God transferred everything to another realm, it's now Fred Hammond. That's it, Fred Hammond. And I love jazz.
I like Kenny G.
I love jazz.
I listen to Kenny G sometimes. I have another question I want to ask. Because you say you and your wife.
Yes.
The question, do y'all record like duets? Do y'all do like duet songs together?
We haven't yet, because she calls herself a doo-wop singer.
Gotcha.
Okay, and she will only sing the background. We'll go in and do the tracks, and I will lay the background tracks as a guide. And her voice is to come and smooth out my falsetto, my fake soprano, my trying to sound like a high. She will smooth that thing out.
You know somebody else that did a lot of background training for people, and people don't know this? Babyface.
Yeah.
I had somebody the other day, it's a song by Madonna called Take a Bow. He sings the background in that song.
He sings a lot of background.
Even Tevin Campbell, I'm ready.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they was like, what? I said, yeah, man, that man, he does a lot of background magic. To me, the background people makes the magic.
Exactly.
Because it's the special notes that they have that people hear, and they be like, oh, wow. Now, how can the people find you?
You can go to ministerbabino.com. That's one word, ministerbabino.com.
Okay.
We're on Facebook at Minister Babino. We have there's my social media angel right there. Twitter account.
Okay.
Kenneth Babino. Wherever. Instagram. Also, we are on all of the digital music sites, the iTunes, the Spotify's, the Apple Music. Just go in and look for Minister Kenneth Babino.
Okay. So pretty soon, you're going to be having your own documentary coming out about your life.
If God says so.
Man, the documentaries are real good because you can leave them behind for kids, or you can leave them behind for education purposes. Because a lot of people, they don't know the history behind certain stuff. All they see is what they see on social media all the time. You leave them with stuff like that, it educates them. Because there's some kid out there exactly just like you and myself that's trying to figure out how to do that and don't know how. They got it real easy because technology rules the world. And since from there, everything just took off.
Yeah, and I like to open the door for children, for people inspiring to do what we do. And I always lead off by saying, somebody gave us the opportunity.
That's right.
Somebody showed us how to do what we do.
Tupac said it best.
Yeah.
I may not change the world, but I guarantee you I will spark the brain that will change the world.
Yes.
And that's a proven fact.
Yes, so I would love to answer questions for any young person coming up or any old person, anybody inspiring to get to where they want to be with using their gifts and talents to glorify God or to just make a better life for themselves.
Okay.
I would love to inspire. I love to teach, and I love to talk sometimes.
I talk a lot my own self, but I'm glad I had you on. I promise you I will bring you back again. Y'all make sure y'all go out and y'all support him. Always remember, until next time, anything is possible. Thank you guys for choosing Chopping Up with Lil Ron. Until next time, we out. Peace.